Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a March 6th edition of the MSP Initiative, MSP Talk. It is springtime, but still pretty cold outside for a lot of us, at least in the northeast part of the country where I live. Although, as all good Philly traditions are, after, Super Bowls and Super Bowl parades, Rita's Water Ice is officially open, which means that technically we are in spring for the people of this area. So if you happen to be a Rita's Water Ice person, they're open. Although the free offer, on the official first day of spring doesn't come until later on this month. And I just heard, and I posted on this earlier, that Dairy Queen is like getting into this now. So on March 20th, both Dairy Queen and Rita's Water Ice on the official first day of spring will be giving you free treats. So take advantage because who doesn't like a free anything? Ice cream cone, water ice, you name it. Uh, as always, there's always something going on in MSP IT land. We'll talk about a bunch of that today. I usually share mspinitiative.com. You can go there, and that's where we park most of the things like this very podcast, which you're recording right now. And like things that we're doing this year, upcoming events, the like industry-wide event calendar as we get it, which is like I feel like every week we're always adding things that pop up that we didn't know about. Thanks to Jen behind the scenes for pressing all those buttons for us. So check out mspinitiative.com. A very familiar face to the show. We welcome back the very, very welcome Kelcye from
Hi.
Infima. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second. How you doing today, Kelcye?
I'm great. I'm really happy to be here. It's been a while, but I've missed it. I love, always seeing what you guys are up to. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, for everybody out there in IT MSP land, we know that Microsoft had two major outages, one Saturday and one Monday. Talk about, hey, even the big guys have problems, except when the big guys have problems, do you just shrug your shoulder as an MSP and say, well, the electricity's out. There's nothing I can do for you. I think that's what you say, but I digress. For everybody that was using Microsoft, or a lot of people were using email, OneDrive, Teams, and not to take a dig, but I can't help myself. Teams phone were down for like entire days. So I can imagine if you were using any one of their services, which I would say most people that I know in the space use definitely my email for sure. That would have been a bad couple days. I mean, at least one was on a weekend, but one was on a Monday, and Mondays, oof, probably not the best day for an outage. What did you hear all about that at Exchange, Kelcye? I think you were just there.
I was just at Exchange, yes, and I did hear all about it. I also saw it on every social media platform. Yeah, big stuff happening.
Yeah, it's never a dull moment in MSP land. I talk about it all the time. It's interesting when the big guy has a problem, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Netflix, whatever, your customer seems to not have as much of a beef. But if it's something else that you're offering them, all of a sudden it's the end of the world. I always find that perception super interesting. But as a person who's been on the receiving side of getting beat up by an end customer calling in complaining their stuff doesn't work for many years, I feel for everyone out there in MSP land that deals with that. And hopefully, whether it's a water ice, an ice cream cone, a beer, or whatever your thing is, you're getting in a little bit of downtime after something like that. Tell us how Exchange went, Kelcye.
Well, I did just want to say really quick, I'm just postulating here that potentially could be just that they have a better, closer relationship with you as the MSP than they do the big guys. And so they have a face to take things out on. I'm not saying it's fair and I'm not saying it's right, but that's just where I think.
That's interesting take. What I learned watching all the same feeds I think you're watching, or some of them, is that people are like, how come I can't reach Microsoft support anymore like an actual human being? Like, I guess Microsoft themselves have like dove into like the AI support agent that's like a computer, not a person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know there's different people on different sides of this conversation. I personally am one where, and I've always been a adopt bleeding edge technology guy, right? It's like a kid in a toy store, right? Like I love opening new things. when it comes to like the customer experience, let me go back to this one, Kels. I don't roll up to Chick-fil-A's drive-through and talk to a computer. I get a person. They're smiling, they're happy, they say my pleasure, they give me free things sometimes, like they know me. Like that feels really good.
Great,
I
yeah.
would hate to, I don't think you can replace that with a robot. That's just my 2 cents.
No, I'm with you. And I think that's why they do have the relationship with you. So they have the comfort in like, this is who I'm going to take my anguish out on. Not that they should. Also
Yeah.
on the Rita's, did you say water ice?
Well, technically they do more than water ice, but yes, it's water ice,
No,
whatever.
no, I like the water. I worked at a shaved ice place for 12 years, and so Rita's did come to Texas. I have had it. They were not very nice to me when I went in wearing my Bahama Bucks shirt. They were like, "We're way better," and I was like, "I'm just trying it, man. Like, leave me alone." But I didn't know,
Yeah.
haven't heard water ice. I thought that's neat. As someone who did work in the dessert industry a long time.
Yeah, it is a delicacy here in Philly. When I'm not taking people to cheesesteak places, I usually stop by Rita's Water Ice. So, give them a little bit of a treat afterwards.
What's your
Um,
go-to flavor?
I am a mango gelati guy, so
Okay.
like they intermix the like the vanilla custard and like the mango water ice and they kind of like layer it. I,
Yeah.
I don't know. That was always my go-to.
That sounds good, yeah.
Yeah,
We
it's pretty
we
tasty.
had a Bahama Rama Mama. It was ice cream under the shaved ice, so similar.
Okay. Sounds similar, right? They're just different marketing, but I that's my jam, right? You get a little bit of everything.
All right, good to know. I like it.
Yeah, they have like a new thing, like I'm sure they didn't invent it. They call it a concrete. It's like not quite a milkshake, not quite a sundae, but like they also
Like
can layer in
Blizzard.
like, yeah, kind of their version of a blizzard, like where they intermix the sauce and like the different jimmies and like, yeah, I'll just call it their version of a blizzard. I always go for like the Reese's version of that. So it's
Mm.
like the Reese's chunks with the like the hot fudge and the whatever. It's definitely not good for you, like calorie intake wise by any means, but it tastes great.
Good for your soul.
Yeah, it
Okay,
tastes.
so for my next visit to Philly, we're hitting the dessert stops. Got it.
Oh, for sure. Like, and by the way, the Rita's Water Ice is always pretty close to the Philly Hot Pretzel Factory, or Soft Pretzel Factory. I'm sorry. So like these are like one A and one B in my opinion. Like you go one, you
Okay.
go two.
All right. Good to know.
So as we talk about all the foods, right? It's like a food's a big thing, right? I don't
Yeah.
know if you do this. I know I do this. Maybe I'll give you a George tip. Whenever I go into a new city that I've never been to before, I book a food tour. And I usually get all of the things that you didn't know about the city that like the locals know, but you also get it with food.
Oh, that's very cool. I do remember you talking about a food tour. I still haven't done one, but I should.
So
I have
good.
been
I love it.
branching out this year and trying places that I've always just driven past and things like that at home.
Yeah. No, it's good. That's good. I mean, I've always been a foodie guy. So whenever I get a chance to try and do the food tour and when I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna eat that, but it looks interesting,
Yeah.
like you can
Thanks
pass.
for showing it to me.
Exactly. Exactly.
But
I
anyway, back to your topic. Exchange was good. It was great to
yeah,
be around everybody. I love that community and I love being in Orlando 3 times in 4 weeks. So things are good.
3 times in 4 weeks. What were the
Yeah.
other two?
I did TMT Producers Club, Zero Trust World, and Exchange. Yes.
Yeah, Orlando, right? The place where we should all just like live half the year anyway, like
We should
timeshare.
like share an apartment complex or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the pain on that one. I think you saw I posted the American Airlines wants to change their boarding wait time. They want to give people more time to board.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I'm priority boarding, so like can't speak to the rest of the plane. But yeah, I guess more time to serve first class drinks too.
Did you hear about there's like this viral thing on TikTok telling people they didn't have to show up to the airport until 15 minutes for their flight? And I'm like, that's horrible advice. And then a bunch of people found out that they give your seats away when you're not there on time.
Yeah, I get those TikToks quite a bit in my feed of like, oh, we boarded an hour and we're on a roller coaster right now. I do get those. They do stress me out. I am not a 2 hours early kind of airport person, but I'm also not a cut it close like that. I also recently flew Frontier for the first time.
Oh, really? That this is the
Yes.
I mention Frontier often on these podcasts because they are the first airline, and I believe the only airline that proceeded to delete their phone number and tell people they're not allowed to call them. They can only communicate with them via the app.
Um, that's very interesting. I thought you were going to say because they're the greenest airline because they're green. I think that's funny marketing. No, my American flight from Houston to Orlando kept getting delayed and I was going to miss the stuff. I have a friend who's a pilot and he gave me one of his buddy passes and got me on. And they, if you are not there an hour before your flight, they give your seat away.
Wow,
I was
an
there
hour.
an hour. I know. I thought that was crazy. But that is how I got a seat. So sorry to those people.
Wow. Well, what the seats don't recline, right?
I was in the exit row, so I at least had the leg room. I'm not a recliner unless it's overnight. I'm so nervous about taking up other people's space. But I deserve to take up space too, so maybe I should. I don't know.
Well, no, that's hey, this is a long debated topic, the reclining seat battle, right? People have definitely gotten salty over it for sure. I'm a short guy, so I don't really need a lot of space. But hey, when I get extra space, I'm like, all right, well, now my bag's not as close to me, I guess. It's all good.
Now I have to reach further for it.
Exactly. Um, every time we talk, we take a little bit of a different angle on, you know, kind of the culture mix within the MSP community. So I want to try it again from a different angle.
Okay.
A lot of people, the talking heads in the industry, seem to think that less younger people coming out of school, coming out of even maybe not even college, right? Maybe they just go to high school, trade schools, whatever, come into this line of work, right? Like they seem to be trending into some of the newer technology things, right? Whether it's AI or security, right? Stuff like that. And so they almost like bypass our industry, right? Coming out of, the formal education part of their journey. I I'm curious, like, is it, how do we make as a community, as an MSP industry, how do we make it more, I don't know, cool, interesting? Something that people
Yeah.
would come out of school saying, you know what, I want to give that a try. I mean, I wonder if we have a marketing problem.
I would definitely say so. I only got into this because I knew someone, Therese Leach, who many people are familiar with. I had an internship in college at a place that she also worked. So years down the road, she reached out to me. It's the whole "it's who you know" type thing. And that's how I got my in. But I will say that as someone who, because I worked at the snow cone place for 12 years, I know a significant amount of younger people who are graduating college and entering the workforce. And I pitch it to them. I'm like, oh, I know so many great people who are hiring. And the first thing they always say is, oh, I could never do that. I don't really know what that all involves. And so
Mm.
I do think the way we package is very niche and like we all understand it, but it doesn't reach the broad audience as well. Whereas, like you said, AI or security, like people are like, yeah, I think I could do that. Like I know about that. I've heard about it. I think we're just a little too tucked away for people to feel brave enough to get in
That's
there.
in, that's interesting. I would say a large part of the people that we all intermix with probably are not servicing enterprise companies, right? I would say they're servicing small, medium business. Like I'm going to even put an artificial number to it, 125, 150 employees, but that's probably rare. Mostly sub 100 employee companies that they're servicing as IT services companies, managed services companies. Has the concept of IT, like, I don't know. Does it feel stale or old? Like, when you go back and you watch the '90s and early 2000s movie, and you think about the IT guy in the movie, you're like, kind of nerdy, kind of geeky guy, right? Always the guy that nobody wants to deal with for some reason. I remember I was watching the IT Crowd. There was that British television show where it was like a comedy, and then they would literally have the answering machine pick up the phone and literally play a recording saying hello IT, and then let the person talk, and then it would play again. It would be like, have you tried turning it off and on again? Oh, thanks for calling, and hang up the phone. Like, is it just not interesting enough where people are like, yeah, forget IT services providers for a second, forget managed services providers for a second. What if I was just looking to get into IT in general? Like that seems to not be the coolest profession I would look at to get into.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. Honestly, the second you said the IT guy, I got an image in my mind. And I don't recall the actor's name, but the guy with the big hair, from the IT guy, definitely came to mind also. But I do, yes, that is a very stereotypical role in a very stereotypical industry, and it isn't glamorous, and it isn't what people are striving for, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
I like telling people that I work in IT because it's unexpected, for someone who looks like me, but it's true, like, we all do, and it's such a, again, narrow-minded, very niche, outside idea of what it is.
Yeah. It's interesting. Have you, so think about you in your regular, just everyday life, right? Um, did you, so let me go back to Frontier. Did you like communicating with the, like you had a hookup,
I did.
get you onto the plane. So I don't think you had to go through the normal process. Are you all right as a traveler, even having no number to call when there's a problem?
Um, I haven't I'll say I'm a millennial who does not prefer phone calls. I know we've talked about this before. So I haven't necessarily, no, I definitely have called the American Airlines service number a few times now I think about it, while being stranded and things. Um, in that situation, I had the hookup. I did have my friend that I was calling. I do remember you saying that long ago about how they don't have a phone number. I think if I was in a bad situation and they didn't have it, it'd be annoying. The other company that comes to mind in this instance is FedEx. They are very hard to get on the phone.
Really?
There was like a secret phone number that I had to have like pasted because it took you so many levels to finally get through it, and I've had to call FedEx quite a bit in this lifetime. Um, but yeah, no, I did have quite a few moments on Frontier of American Airlines would never. So there was a fight on the flight, and listening to the flight attendants talk about it was a fascinating experience.
Yeah, our mutual friend, Mr. Stanners, always says that the clientele changes everything. I said, okay, all right, maybe he's right. So okay, let's try the other way. You say you call FedEx, you're like, you got to deal with the answering, the auto attendant
Yeah,
18 levels through. Like the new version of that is this AI agent, right?
right.
In fact, I call it like the evolution of the answering machine, right? Where you're
Yeah,
talking to a computer. Like, and we see this a lot in chat, right? Where it's like a bot
right.
and you're not talking to a human being. Now they're trying to take it to the voice call. Like, have you found that works well for you when you have run into it, or do you get to like a frustrating point and then
It
you're like,
definitely gets to the frustrating point for sure. I know that AI is the hot thing that everybody wants to try. Like you said, it's like, oh, new bleeding edge. I liked bleeding edge. I've never heard that.
yeah, bleeding edge.
I've heard cutting edge, but bleeding edge technology. And so people are implementing it, and it's not always fully thought out. It's not always fully capable of what it needs to be. So yes, definitely get through the, like, okay, I'm giving you all the information you need. I just need you to pass me along to a human. Like I just need to say whatever 00000, whatever it is, to get me to a person who can just help me.
Well, maybe our old friend Jimmy will figure out the secret sauce. Maybe
I know he's got some great things in the works, and I have called his phone agent, Adele.
Adele, like the singer Adele.
Adel, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's hopefully he doesn't get a copyright notice in the mail or something.
It wouldn't be his first.
Oh,
I do
okay.
have a question for you though. When you are
Yeah.
talking to the AI agents, do you thank them? Even like, I can't say her name too loud because she'll hear me, but the Amazon one that it can be in
Mm.
your household. Do you thank them? Do you talk to them like people?
No, I can't say that I do. I'm going to be honest, because like I don't know, like they haven't gotten this to the point like we've seen in the movies where like you can't even tell you're talking to the computer, right? You
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
even
you can
tell.
definitely still
So
tell.
like once I'm like I'm talking to an answering machine, at that point there's no reason to elongate the whole thing because I almost have like, and I hate to do this, right? Because like I mentioned Chick-fil-A earlier. I go into Chick-fil-A drive through any location with pretty high standard in my head, right? Because I've had
Yeah,
such a good experience time again. It's like
yeah,
a repeatable, reproducible experience that they have. It's like the opposite for this conversation for me. I expect that I'm not going to get where I need to go. I'm not going
yeah,
to get the information I'm going to get to. I'm going to get like pretty much to a dead end right away, to the point where I'm like, I feel like I'm wasting my time. And
sure.
like, so immediately I'm like, hey, I'm probably just going to stop this because I don't think I'm going to get a positive outcome.
Okay, that's fair. Well, I even my silly little thought is that when the robots do take over, they'll remember that I was polite to them and they'll spare me.
Okay. All right. I mean, didn't happen in the Matrix, but
Well, that was a while ago, so who knows? I'll say the refrigerator here has her built in, and anytime I ask her a question, which is not often because I am an old-fashioned typing in on Google, I thank her and she says, "Your kindness really gives me a charge." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
so does it tell you when you're out of, like, I don't know, milk or something? How does the refrigerator thing work?
So it does have a camera in it. It's not my refrigerator. I'm renting from a friend right now. So her phone, she can see what's in the refrigerator like while she's at this grocery store. That's the goal.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't realize there was a camera in it till one night when I was up in the middle of the night, digging around. Then I realized I was staring a camera lens in the eye. But no, it's your standard capable, like you can ask it to set a timer or whatever. Like it plays Spotify and stuff like that. So every so often I'll be like, what's the weather, like before I go outside. But I don't talk to her often unless I'm asking her to play some music. But while scrolling,
Minus the ring camera on the inside.
yeah, yeah. I don't, that's none of my business. I don't see it. So
That's funny. It's like, hey, I got an alert. Fridge door's open. What's going on? That's
it
funny.
does every time I'm putting my groceries away. It starts like alerting. I'm like, I hope she's not getting these on her phone.
Could you imagine? That was
Well,
interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Tell us how are things going at Infima? You know, what are you seeing out there? Are people, getting what you guys do? Why don't you share a little bit, about the whole thing with us?
yeah, I'll say, last year was the first year that Infima really hit the road hard. So there was a lot of I've never heard of you before, whereas this year
Mhm.
we're having the little bit of like recognition, even if they don't know who we are, they've at least seen us places, which is nice. We do have the bright pink booth, which still stands out. There's been a few more pink additions on a booth floor. I've
Mhm.
started seeing more. People have realized that they're all blending in lately, so they're trying new things. We
Or just
recently,
copying existing things.
well, I took psychology of creativity in college.
Mm.
The idea every like 2 weeks, we had to redefine what creativity meant.
Hmm.
By the end of the semester, it kind of got to the point there really are no original ideas. It's just building off of ideas that have existed before us. At this
That's
point
fair.
in creation and invention, like if it's been thought of, or if you're thinking of it, it's been thought of before.
Execution, I think, is the word.
Yes, yes, and lazy execution is lame.
Mm. I like
But
that. That could be our tagline for this episode. Lazy
okay,
execution is lame. There you go, Jen. Tag
I
that for
like
me.
it. I like it. I'm honored. Um, but we recently hired someone new. She's outside of the industry, but she's very smart, very capable. Her name is Isabel. So we have a new face at the booth, and that's been really fun. She also lives here in Dallas, so
Hmm.
it's nice to have somebody local we can meet up and things like that. Remote life. I do love remote life, but it's also nice to have someone nearby.
Hmm.
But I have started very interestingly this year with another young woman by my side and a pink booth. People have started asking, is this a woman-owned company? And I've never experienced that
Wow.
before.
Huh.
So it's happened every event so far this year. Just you got ladies at the booth, you've got a pink booth. That's what people assume. So that's been really interesting, really neat, but also kind of lends to the like for people who don't know us but have seen us around, they're finally curious enough to come ask a question. So yeah.
I,
Uh,
I, hey, new things, right? Like, yeah, I laugh because on sports radio here in Philadelphia, which I've listened to my whole life, We keep hearing the same. The owner comes out once a year from the Eagles, Jeffrey Lurie, and he does like a State of the Eagles address every year before the season starts. And one year, way back when, I think it was like 2004, 2005, he was like, "Hey, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again, and expect a different result." And we all laugh about that. And then immediately after that, he said, "But the Eagles are the gold standard in the NFL." We're like, "We are? Patriots are winning over here. What are you talking about? Where are Super Bowl rings?" Keep in mind, we had gone to 4 NFC championships and a Super Bowl and then lost.
I liked when you said, "Where are Super Bowl rings?" You kind of glanced down at your own hand.
No rings here. Yep. I mean, yeah, I have had people like, "Did you buy the replica ring?" And I was like, "I don't know. No, I mean, if you're gonna have a ring, you need the real thing. And I don't have, 100 grand to drop on a Super Bowl ring anytime soon."
Well, maybe as a industry, we can all pull together. If everyone donates $1.
No, I would go the other way. And I've seen this now at least one time. I would definitely go WWE belt.
Mm.
I think that's so cool.
I'd love to see you walk through the airport with that. I'm sure
I
TSA would love
don't.
it.
I can't give TSA any more reasons to stop me in the security. I have to. I think I've had. Yeah, I could go in with nothing and I'll still get stopped. But I
Yeah.
love the idea. That might have to be a ship it there.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I did have a moment at the beginning of this episode when you said, "Well, whenever you win a Super Bowl," and you mentioned then Rita's and stuff. I don't know, but thank you for saying it. I don't know what that's like.
Well, yes, I'm sure Keith Nelson is like mysteriously getting a ping in his head as we're talking about this right now. But yeah, I mean, it has been said again on the sports radio that Jalen Hurts wasn't born yet the last time the Dallas Cowboys won a Super Bowl. I believe that was 95 or 96.
It was
One,
95. We talked about this somewhat recently. You
yes.
thought
And
I
like,
also was not old enough. Well, you thought I wasn't one yet, and I was. I was almost two.
sorry, my bad. But you had needed like a VCR to go back and watch that one, right? And like,
Probably. Yeah.
okay. So last time me and Ken Patterson, took a tour of Jerry's World, we made sure to, drop all of those jokes, but I digress.
I've
Uh
seen the photos.
they are infamous photos for sure. Um yeah, I mean, let's talk about that for a second. Did you see Dak Prescott came out like right after the Super Bowl and was like, "Yeah, we beat the Eagles. We're just as good." And
I did see it. I'm pretty sure you made sure I saw it.
I was like, "Really? Okay. All right. See you next year, buddy."
You will. I'm just doing a
Yeah.
thing. I
Yeah.
know
No.
I told you this, but as a lifelong Cowboys fan, I'll be honest, I didn't know that we were supposed to hate the Eagles until I met you, honestly. But I have such a soft spot for them in my heart. I think they're really passionate and fun. And I mean, I've got you, Jimmy's an Eagles fan, so many people in this industry, Kate Farnan, like I got all these people. I'm like, well, they've got to have something right. If, I like them, if they like their team, whatever. And then Reed Blankenship, Jason Kelcye, like my name literally exists within the team. So I do have a real soft spot for them. I'm happy. I will admit, I did wear my bedazzled Travis Kelce shirt on the day of the Super Bowl. I
I
bedazzled it the
see.
year before. It says Big Yeti. It's from his official merch line, but I added rhinestones because that's who I am as a person. So while I was technically cheering for the Eagles, I was still happy for I was technically cheering for the Saint Chiefs. Oh my God. I was happy for your Eagles. My dad's also from Olathe, Kansas, so Kansas City's a little bit in the blood. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, that's a double hurt because like you're in Dallas, you kind of and then the one team never makes it there and the other team does, but then they lost. So like, hey, but he's had two years of
Right, exactly. Like you gotta share it. It's okay. And
yeah.
he's coming back for his 13th season, which is lucky number 13. We'll see.
I heard he was all mysterious afterwards. He was like, it's kind of like his brother Jason from the Eagles. He's like, "Oh, every year I think about it, I'll let you know." But
Yeah.
it came out pretty quickly that he was coming back, and then he was like, "I can't leave Kansas City on a season like that." Okay, I got you. I hear you.
Yeah, that's fair.
There was a lot of speculation. We're going to go into a topic I'm sure you know and love. That there was a lot of guessing that, and I think there's even a prop bet. I'm told that the Kelsey Swift show was going to happen, right? Like a proposal, a ring, a this engagement, and they're like, oh,
Yes.
but once he lost, he couldn't do that. That wasn't going to work.
I think that's interesting because like I just don't think that would have been the right place to do it either. Like personally, I'm I have a December birthday, and so I
Mhm.
know like December proposal, like do it at Christmas, whatever. I don't want to get a birthday, a Christmas, and an anniversary present all on the same time.
That's a good point. That is a
But
good
I
point.
also I just think that like special moments need to just be special moments. Like don't do it at someone's graduation or at someone else's wedding or at the Super Bowl. Like but then again, I've seen like the Olympians who propose after they, get gold and it's like, okay, that's really cute. So I don't know, whatever. Everybody do
I
their own.
mean, there were people who proposed while the Eagles were going down their parade down Broad Street in
Well,
Philadelphia.
yeah, that makes sense. Also, I did love the coverage of that your coverage of that. That looked very, very fun, very special.
It's as a lifelong Eagles, Phillies, just Philadelphia sports fan, the whole thing. It's all about the parade, guys, right? Like you dump your heart, your mind, your money, your time, everything, right? The countless trips down to the South Philly Stadium complex to get to the parade. So I have family members of mine who I absolutely have it because I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to the parade. I'm like, dude, this may be the last one in your lifetime. You have no idea. Like, I hate to say that, but it's a
Yeah.
legitimate thought. Like, think about this from 1960 to 2018. Like, that's how long it was before the Eagles won their first Super Bowl.
Wow.
Like, it was 52 years or, something like that. And I was like, we could have literally lived and died and not had never have seen it. Like, that's a take off
Special.
work. That's a take off
Yeah.
work moment, right? I don't care if that's a sick day, right? Like you go to the parade. Nope, they didn't. And I was like, okay. I like, are we allowed to be related? Can I? I don't know. It's weird. No, it was great. Like I love how listen, Dallas just had a parade not long ago, right? Your baseball team won a championship. I don't know if you went to it. Did you go to it?
I didn't.
Okay. Well, now
But
you
we
know.
did.
Next time you should definitely go. Um, they all like after the first Eagles parade, some I don't know, statistician company came out. They're like, oh, we don't think there was 800,000 people there. We're like, yeah, the city of Philadelphia came out and said there's 1.4 million people in the first parade to 2018. I was like, I don't know where this 800,000 came from. Definitely, whatever it was in 2018 was more people this year,
Yeah.
for sure.
I saw a really cool viral thing. I think I saw it on Twitter of someone left a coat after the parade with a note
Yeah.
inside of it saying that they found it at the last parade and knew that it was time to let it go at the next parade. So like they wished somebody would do that next. Thought that was neat.
Yeah, that was cool. See, there are nice people in Philadelphia. It's not all
There
bad.
are. I enjoyed my time there.
They're not all
For when I
bad.
was wearing my Cowboys jersey.
By the way, that guy who interviewed you, who thought you were an actual from Pennsylvania but a Cowboys fan, turned when he realized that you weren't,
Yeah.
kind of went against his little video there. But yep,
Yeah, he didn't want to talk to me anymore.
yeah, he's like, oh, okay, you're a real Cowboys fan. But there's so many that have never been to Texas, have no family link to Texas, haven't even gone to see the team in Texas. It's very weird.
Hey, sometimes I'll say that's probably like how I'm anti TSA pre-check. Sometimes you just have to go against what everybody else around you is doing
Whoa,
for
whoa,
no
whoa, whoa!
reason.
Time. You don't use the pre-check link?
I don't have pre-check. And I
Why?
love telling people that. I don't.
Why? Why?
Just the line's always longer, except for at MCO. And even then, whatever. I've never had it. And so like I'm fine with all the way it is.
You have a passport. You went to NerdioCon last year, right?
You have a passport.
Okay. All
I
right.
got my passport in 2022. I only traveled out of the country for fun for the first time in December of last year. So I did consider global entry at the heavy persuasion of our dear friend Alex Stanners. Could
Mm-hmm.
not get an appointment in time. So, but they had me go through customs before I even left Dublin. So I didn't have to
Yeah.
do anything once I got back.
Okay. Can we gift you global entry? Can you go and book it? We'll Venmo you the money. We'll call it the we love you and your travel experience needs to get it upgraded gift. Can we do that?
It's not a matter of the money. It's just like at this point, I got the reaction out of you that I just love getting from people.
No, like I don't want you to be abandoned at the airport when somebody's like, "Oh, you're not on pre-check. Sorry, see you on the other side." Like I've seen
Oh,
that happen.
yeah, Larry did that to me all the time. And most times I would either meet him or I'd beat him through. So
Okay, all right, just
I'm a very efficient traveler.
okay, all right. I just, I mean, I can't say. I mean, I've experienced both, but I tend to get stopped no matter where I'm at.
Yeah.
Mutual other friend of ours say that I'm vaguely ethnic, whatever that means. That's cool. That's fine. But you should try and get it because it'll give you 5 years of both global entry and pre-check together.
And this is hashtag not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Nope. Nope. Just a recommendation from another
I
frequent
know. And
traveler.
I know that one day I'll cave, but the thrill of the reaction is just so good for me.
Can keep your stuff in your bag. You don't have to take your jacket off. Okay.
I'm not usually wearing a jacket. Texas is hot.
Not always. You get ice. It's cold.
Yeah, I know. I know. I didn't travel that week.
I mean, it was cold
I
in
will
Orlando.
eventually. I know I will.
I'm gonna look up appointments and just see what.
Uh,
Uh, well, so you only went internationally once for work. It was for Nerdio.
oh, no, I've done it for work a few times, but for fun
Okay.
was just
Oh,
once.
okay. So other than Nerdio and what was that, Punta Cana, where else did you go?
I've been to Vancouver and Toronto.
Hmm.
And actually, I did go to Vancouver with my friend once. We took the Amtrak in, but then our train out got canceled, so we had to take the bus. So I have crossed the border in a few ways now. Bus
Hmm.
was not nearly as fun as the Amtrak train. But yeah, I've done a little Canada, Mexico, the Dominican, and now Ireland, which I loved, and I really want to go back. I have to go back during the summer so I can.
Yeah, you
I,
went during a pretty cold time. I think when you said you were going to Ireland, I had sent you something saying like New York was as cold as the Arctic that week or something.
yes. Well, and I did New York the week before, so I was nervous, but I lucked out. I got decent weather in both. Um, I lived. My Texas blood didn't freeze, but it was everything we went and did was pretty low attendance. And I was visiting Treva, and she was like, "Yeah, people don't really come here in December," and I was like, "I know, I got it."
Hopefully you did. Yeah, you got a good price.
Well, I use my miles, so yeah, the best price is free, right?
There it is. So let me ask you a question. You're American. Seems like it's your primary airline, not Frontier. Um, did you? I always find it interesting at the end of the year where like you're in between January and March because they like offset your miles year, right? For
Yeah.
American, and then they're trying like, hey, you can buy your status for the next year if you pay this, and this. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money. I don't know
Right.
where'd this price come from. Did you see those?
Oh, I absolutely do. And I got a notice that I was going to lose my platinum status. And so I was like, whoa, what? And I clicked on the email and it took me through and I was like, $900. No, thank you.
Right?
I ended up, because I have the credit card, though, the American Airlines one, I maintained my status, but they did scare me a little bit. And then I reminded myself that these numbers are fake and they can't scare me. Capitalism didn't win this time.
Which numbers are more fake, the American Airlines numbers or the Disney World numbers?
Oh, I don't know. I've only gone to Disney World for free.
Ah,
My friend works there, so he's a
oh
cast
God.
member, so I just get in for free. I don't know. I know I've
Wow.
been quite a few times, but I've never paid for those. And any merch and food is discounted because he's a cast member. So I have no
Are
idea
you?
about this.
I think Kelcye has learned the "it's not what you know, who you know" thing a little more than the rest of us.
Listen, I have a very wide network of people. I knew him because I was his manager at Bahama Bucks while he was in high school and I was in college. So it is absolutely who you know. And then also taking them up on it. You have to maintain the friendship and be a decent human, to get the perks. I like to
Fair,
think that I make it worthwhile.
fair, fair.
If I could get you and your family into Disney for free, I would.
I'm not. I'm not even asking. I went, I paid like everybody else, the regular
Except for me.
people. Exactly, the regular people. And I went during Thanksgiving week, which
Yeah.
could have been slammed, could have been not slammed. I didn't feel slammed. It didn't feel empty, but it didn't feel like it was like crazy bonkers, like waiting in line for 8 hours by any means. I did get stuck on the Star Wars, one of the Star Wars rides, literally
Rise
broke
of the
down.
Resistance.
That's the one, like broke down in the middle of the thing. They're like,
I I got stuck on that too. The power went out. We had to get evacuated,
I'm
and then
like,
it was
what? Why is
raining.
this ride broken all the time?
Because it's bleeding edge technology, George.
There it is, bleeding edge. I love it. See, you're gonna use that now.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, bleeding edge is right. I mean, the problem with bleeding edge is you can get cut using it. That's sort of,
Well, wouldn't that be cutting edge? And then you're bleeding edge?
but cut doesn't necessarily mean you're bleeding, does it?
I think if you're cut, you're bleeding, yeah.
Maybe, but bleeding, you're definitely bleeding.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
follow? Like it's a more severe version, all right?
Okay. All right.
Um,
Yeah, no, it's it's a fascinating technology that does go down quite a bit as I have the cast member perspective on it. Because it's so popular, they often run it when they shouldn't because it's something that people really, really want to be a part of. So,
so even your Disney rides need maintenance.
yeah, absolutely.
I saw on my feed, I'm probably not on social as much as you are, but I think I'm on it quite enough. And one of the feeds this morning was a airplane, I think it was JetBlue, where the engine cover was ripped off.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I was just like, man, what's going on with all these plane problems? Like as much traveling as we all do, like, thank God. I mean, I get the only person that's had the absolute craziest story was the Stanner story about like the engine, the plane losing power, and then they had to turn around and go back. And I was like, thank God they lost power while you were napping.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's definitely been very concerning to see, especially in the jobs that we do. I have tried to do a little bit of my own research. I hate to say that because that sounds like, I don't trust people. But it does seem to be one of those that we're just news stations and media has realized that that gets attention. So we're getting a lot more reports of it. Obviously,
Mm.
a plane crash is always worth a report, but the smaller things typically haven't been reported on previously. Now we're all kind of in a like, oh my gosh, there's another one. Of course, and it does seem technically, statistically, air travel still is the safest form of transportation. I don't know. My grandma retired from Southwest Airlines. I know all the safety demonstrations. She worked in HR. She still had to do all the safety demonstrations.
Really?
Yeah. So I know like all the stuff they go through. I think it's really commendable that one plane that recently landed upside down that everybody walked off of that. That's really impressive.
There's a movie about that called Flight with Denzel Washington, right?
I didn't know that, but I
You've
believe
never
that.
heard of this movie? You're gonna have to add it to the to-do list. So which one goes first? Global entry interview or watching Flight, the movie?
A flight would probably be the easier. I could do that today, except
Okay.
new episode of Severance tonight. So actually, I can't.
Let's talk about Severance.
Yeah,
It seems like you are. I listen. I'm an app. When I first got Apple TV, like when I got one of my Apple things, and they're like, "Oh, here's 3 free months," like they do with everything. I never turned it off. I really got on to first. It was like when I first got on, it was like the Tom Hanks movie that was on there. Then it was For All Mankind, and like they actually kept on, the morning show. They kept on coming out with actually pretty good stuff. And
yeah,
then Severance, lot, it's like the number one watch thing on the whole system.
yeah. It beat Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso phenomenon, which I heard they are coming back with another season.
Mhm.
Maybe. Um, and listen, I got all, I'm sure everybody, Disney Plus, Netflix, Paramount Plus, and like everybody has an app, but no, Apple TV has been strong on the content. Would you rate that as your number one show right now?
Yeah, it's the only thing I'm keeping up with weekly, for sure. And I also am actively like seeking out Reddit theories and watching YouTube breakdowns and things like that. I don't have a lot of free time in my life, so typically I'll turn on something that is far less pressure. I am working my way through Abbott Elementary. Love, Philly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of Eagles love in that show.
there is. I'm a big fan, but like otherwise, I just turn on The Office or Parks and Rec, just to have some noise while I'm doing stuff. So Severance is the one thing like I've been making time for. I did not hop on the train originally in 2022. I don't have Apple TV. I'm using my friend's account. Another friend.
Same thing.
I logged into a friend's account on my phone to watch at the airport, and now my phone and my watch both think that I'm him. So I did log out and logged back into my own, and it's giving his name in places. So if anyone knows how to fix that, let me know. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I think it's really interesting. It's not something I necessarily would have sought out watching on my own. I do prefer comedy, but I had a friend who was really insistent, and I finally was like, fine, whatever, I'll just turn it on. And that was in December. So I only had like 2 weeks to wait for season two. And that was a long 2 weeks, but it's
You
been really.
know, Jen, our friend behind the scenes, she's watching all the stuff I watched when it first came out, like Breaking Bad. She watched the whole thing all the way through. Like, come on. Or, um, you know,
Better Call Saul. I know that's one you
well,
talked
she
about.
hasn't watched that yet. Or Sopranos. She watched the whole thing all the way through. Like, you get the luxury, right? That it's all out and you can binge
Right.
watch everything at one time. Like
But
before, you had to wait.
I kind of like the waiting. The last time I did this was Euphoria. It used to come out
Mm.
Sunday nights. And my friend and I, we would do dinner at each other's apartments, and she and I would travel back and forth and watch the new episode. I kind of like the weekly. Like it sucks not having it all at once, as we are a binge watch culture. But it's nice, like you have to appreciate it a little bit further. And then you have the week to be like, oh, there's this theory, there's this, like this is supplemental. They did this interview. I
Do
don't
you
know.
read on planes or watch shows on planes?
I read on planes. I get motion sick pretty easily, and for some reason, keeping up with a screen is pretty tough for me. But every so often on like a smooth flight, I'll turn something on the free entertainment.
Oh, I am definitely using my airplane. If it's not sleeping, it's watching shows. That's where I can just
See,
unwind the
I
time.
start with a nap, and then I crack open my book, and then towards the end I'm like, okay, I'll see. If anything, I'll turn on Dairy Girls, and classic. Got to rewatch that.
Totally get it. Jen's on almost up to date on Dexter now.
I just saw that. Yeah.
Thank you
I have
for
not
that.
watched that one.
Did you watch the original Dexter? No.
Mm.
So global entry, flight, Dexter. I don't know. We're adding a list here for
I
you.
have watched Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. So
All right, we're good. We're up to date.
yeah.
We're up to date. Actually, I heard that the producer, and some of the cast members of Better Call Saul are going into like a sci-fi show now.
Mm.
So stay tuned. Did you see Happy Gilmore is coming out too? Is coming out in July.
Yes, and Travis Kelce's going to be in it. He just has a little
Mm,
cameo, but
mm.
I'm a big fan of Adam Sandler, so really
I,
excited
think,
about that.
I loved his little hoodie routine that he had the other night.
Yeah. Did you watch the SNL 50th anniversary?
I honestly didn't.
I watched it last night. I got home from the airport, took a nap, and then I was like, I have to force myself to stay up. So I watched it last night before bed.
Mm,
He has a really nice tribute in it. It was nice to
that's
watch.
good. I'll have to go back and check that out.
It's a long one. It's a long
Okay.
episode,
All
but
right. That's cool. No worries. Yeah, looking forward for Happy Gilmore. I remember Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison. The amount of times I've watched both of those movies is just crazy.
well, maybe we can
Throwing
time it right around an
waterboard.
event and we can do a watch party at a movie theater.
Right?
It'd be fun.
Could be interesting. Have you done a drive-in movie theater yet?
Yeah. Yes, there's one about an hour-ish outside of Dallas. So in college, I went a couple times, and then COVID, that was, in something that stayed open and you could do sitting next to friends in the lot. So that was fun. I
Yeah.
haven't done one in a few years since 2020, but yeah, I have.
So we have two by us. And like I think it's the one of the two is like the oldest running one in America.
Wow, that's
So it's
cool.
pretty cool.
My beef with it is if it's cold out, you fog up the windows. And
Yeah.
also, like, if it's running through the radio, you have to keep switching the car back on, or you have to keep the windows down so you can hear the speakers. Like it's just like it's a little not ideal. I do have a truck though, so I do love being able to like pile blankets in the back and use the bed in that way. It is
Yeah.
fun. And the places here, they do two showings. Like
Mm.
you pick two movies, so
Right. You get like an early and a late. Yeah.
yeah, kind of makes it where you really make the drive worth it and stuff.
100%. Yeah. I've been, I've been collecting the popcorn buckets, like
Oh,
the cool fancy ones. Like I got the Captain American one. I got the Batman like 30th or whatever anniversary one with like, or so it's like the Batman light. They're pretty, I love how they've, back to the pink booth thing, right? Like they've reinvented things to keep things interesting,
oh
right?
yeah. I'll say AMC has done a really good job of that. I normally didn't care about them before. Like it'd be neat to see, but like I did get the Taylor Swift popcorn bucket and matching cup.
Mm-hmm.
But the theater I went to where I got the popcorn bucket, they didn't have the cups. My friend's mom ended up getting the cup and was like, "This is something you would want." And I said, "Yes, it is." But I really like that they're doing that more. They're coming out with more stuff because going to the movie theaters has kind of died a little bit with streaming. So
Mm-hmm.
I love going to see movies in theaters. I love the
Same,
experience.
same.
I love a giant bucket of popcorn.
I'll leave you with this popcorn story because I'm always everybody loves a good deal, right? Like feel good when you got a good deal, right? Maybe when you get that global entry and you get pre-check with it, you're like, double, the double combo, buy one get one. So as a guy who loves a deal, I was going to my Eagles games, in my stadium
Yeah,
right here
I've
in
been
South
there.
Philadelphia,
Yeah.
and I don't know. One day, was just like it was December going into January. I was just feeling popcorn. So I go to the concession stand and I'm like, hey, I want popcorn. They're like, okay, do you want regular or large? And I'm like, is this like a movie theater thing where there's like $1 difference? I was like, so what's the price difference? They're like $3. I was like, just give me the large. They're like, oh, okay. And so like he checks me out. He's like, oh, by the way, this is after everything, right? Like I've already bought. He's like, it's unlimited refills.
Oh,
I'm like, what? I was like,
heck
you
yeah.
should have opened with that, by the way. It's like a secret, right?
Yeah.
So like I was literally bringing home bags of popcorn. And it's like literally just handing it out. Oh, bring back your paper bucket. We'll give you a whole bag. And I'm like, okay. And like, so I
Sure.
tested this theory and I would literally roll back with like my kids would be like, did you bring the Eagles popcorn back? I was like, yeah, here.
Of course I did.
And of course, when I went to the Super Bowl, it was not unlimited popcorn. I guess I should have assumed that was going to be the case.
Yeah, I guess. Whatever.
But that talk about a steal, right? Because like in a stadium where everything's always more expensive than you can get on the street, the fact that anything's unlimited is like crazy.
Yeah, I do love the souvenir cups. They're typically refillable. I'll drink my weight through a Dr. Pepper.
All right, like yeah, funny enough, at the Super Bowl in New Orleans, they charge you like $10 for your refillable drink, but they let you refill your Coke cup, right?
Yeah.
But the popcorn was, oh, by the way, the $8.50 popcorn in Philadelphia was $16.50 in the Super Bowl and non-refillable.
Wow. Yeah.
NFL tax. Hey, listen, I got to see my team win a Super Bowl.
For the experience. I'm with you. I also saw recently that the confetti is in the shape of the trophy.
I did not see that.
Oh, I saw like somebody like unraveled like the handfuls they
I
took.
have to go. I have to go see that. Somebody actually, I drove. I was coming back from what used to be HCG, now called Evolve, which you're familiar with.
Been
I was
there.
coming back from a Phoenix Evolve or HCG at the time. I flew home. This is 2018 now.
Okay.
And I literally got in my car, stopped by my house, switched my bags, and continued driving all the way to Minnesota to go to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And so,
Good
yeah, it was like
experience. I love that about you.
17 hours later, here I am in Minnesota and watch a Super Bowl. Nick Foles, Disney story, beats Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, best of all time, yada, yada, yada. Drive back, snowstorm, parade gets delayed for another couple extra days. Fine, all good, fine. Go to the parade, leave the parade once it's done and not leave early to go to the airport to meet up with Alex Sanders to go to Australia for the first time because he had never been to Australia. Show him the ropes.
Mhm.
Come back, somebody had sent me confetti from Super Bowl.
Oh,
I was like, oh, that's awesome.
that is so nice.
Not in the shape of a Super Bowl trophy. So I'll have to like fact
Well, I'm
check.
beginning to wonder if maybe this person for like internet clout, like, used a Cricut. I'll go see if I can verify my sources.
But I was gonna say super like confetti from the Super Bowl is a thing.
No, that's super cool. I've been to a couple concerts where you got to snag it off the floor. And also Taylor Swift used to, whenever you ordered merch from her website, she would include confetti
Oh
in the
yeah.
yes, that was
I,
always
I tell Jen that we were lucky that she skipped the merch tent when she was stopping by the Taylor Swift concert.
I I went to a show that was after Dallas. So after she came through Dallas, I guess my algorithm knows me well enough that they were like, "Thanks for coming to the concert. Here's a discount code." So then
Mm.
I ordered t-shirts for my friend and I who were going to the Seattle one. So I showed up and we already had shirts and she was like, "This is the one I would have wanted." And I was like, I know you." So I got them with a discount
Again, it's
before the
about
show.
the deal. It's
It
all about
is.
the deal.
It is. I was so proud. We didn't even have to stop by the merch booth because we already had it.
For
We
some
haven't
reason, it's always
carried all night.
cheaper when you buy it not at the merch booth. Did you ever see
Oh
that?
yeah. Oh yeah, it absolutely is. And
Whenever you
training our little brains into that delayed gratification is important.
exactly whenever you buy the Super Bowl merch at the Super Bowl, it's going to be more expensive than after the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Kelcye, where do we find
Someday I'll know what that's like.
hey, you're always willing to come when it's
Thanks.
when we go, right?
Thanks.
If you're interested. Next one's in San Francisco this upcoming year.
Oh, nice.
Um, where can people find more about you, about Infima, check you out, talk to you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I'm all over LinkedIn. I'm all in on the LinkedIn train. Kelcye Blankenship-Lackland. Infima is Infima Security, and we are infimasec.com. We're also at the bright pink, not women owned, but women staffed booth. And I am on Twitter, at Kelcye at work. I've been a little bit slacking on there lately, I'll admit. But I'm also in a couple MSP Discords and Facebook groups. I'm pretty easy to find. And appreciate you guys having me on.
Rita's Water Ice,
Rita's Water Ice.
Global Entry, Flight the
I've
movie with
had
Denzel
Rita's,
Washington. All right, Flight the
and I
movie
wasn't
with Denzel
impressed as
Washington.
someone who was slinging snow cones for
Gonna
years.
have to try different things on the menu, okay? Flight the movie with Denzel Washington, Dexter.
You're giving me homework
This
for
is homework.
leaving your live session.
Homework. Homework.
Okay,
I promise it'll all be worth it.
I'm sure. I trust you.
Awesome. Well, right back at you. Guys, this session was recorded. Should absolutely follow Kelcye on all the social media feeds. She fills my feed with stuff that I laugh at all the time. Some stuff is good information. Some stuff's good. And I try and send her good stuff too, right? Share the wealth. So definitely check out Infima Security. Look for the pink booth. I got to see this pink booth now. I want to see the phenomenon of pink.
I, the hair, it's a whole thing.
I like it. I like it. Guys, the session was recorded like all the other ones. By the way, this is like my third or fourth one with Kelcye. We always talk about crazy things. Go back and watch the other ones. She has plenty of opinions on things, and we try and share the universe of what everybody thinks about here. But you'll find all the podcasts at mspinitiative.com under podcast. Catch you on the road, Kels, and for everyone else, see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye, guys.